I'm Sarita Moody, and today we're diving into a question that can completely transform relationships if you're willing to really sit with it. Am I trying to be understood more than I'm trying to understand? Phew. Now, listen, this isn't an easy question because most of us feel genuinely unheard at times. And most of us feel unseen, misunderstood, overlooked, dismissed, corrected, or emotionally disconnected in certain moments, especially in close relationships, especially in intimate relationships. And when emotions get involved, we naturally want someone to hear us, validate us, and understand our heart. But sometimes both people are fighting to be understood at the exact same time, right? And that creates a cycle, a painful one, a cycle where nobody actually feels emotionally safe. I have seen this and witnessed this through so many different mother-daughter relationships, couple relationships, father-son relationships in my therapeutic practice. And this is a conversation that I wanted to have today. We're going to unpack communication and conflict cycles, emotional safety, defensiveness, validation versus explanation. So first, we want to talk about communication and conflict cycles. One thing that I've learned as a therapist, and honestly, as a wife, a mother, a friend, or just a human being, is that most conflicts is not about the issue. Maybe one person brings up a concern, the other person immediately feels accused, so they become defensive. Then the first person feels unheard because the focus shifted away from their feelings. So now they escalate emotionally, trying to explain themselves harder. The other person gets overwhelmed and shuts down. Now, now one feels abandoned emotionally while the other feels attacked emotionally. And around and around and around we go. Not because either person necessarily has bad intentions, but because both nervous systems are reacting. And sometimes people are not fighting each other, they're fighting the feelings of not being emotionally safe. And when we don't recognize the cycle, we become committed to proving our point instead of protecting the connection. So, as we talk about that, one of the things that is really important when we talk about communication and protecting connections or the lack thereof, we go into feeling unheard and misunderstood. And let's be honest, feeling misunderstood can hurt deeply. It really can. But because they're trying to desperately feel seen, sometimes anger is actually hurt that lost patience. Listen to that. When you're trying to be heard and you're not feeling like you're being heard, sometimes anger is actually hurt that has lost patience. Sometimes correction is fear. Sometimes defensiveness is shame or even guilt. Sometimes shutdown is emotional overwhelm. And when I think about the emotional overwhelm piece, that just means that you lack the ability to self-regulate the emotions that come from the guilt or shame, or even the fear, etc. Right? And sometimes the real cry underneath the conflict is, please understand my heart. I remember a conversation I had with my mom recently. A lot of times we say, it wasn't my intention, but oftentimes when we say intention, that kind of triggers people and and then they shut down even more. But what I had to tell my mom is that wasn't my heart.
Visit simply_Mrs. Moody on YouTube for the full podcast.